Hello my friends, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to share with you this dress that I made, and I put it on top of a gift bag. So you would imagine that this dress is pretty tall. It measures 9.5 inches tall and then 9.5 inches wide. But what I wanted to do was share with you how I made it and what I did. I wanted to mention that this is the same dress. Of course, I used different papers, and you can see that I shrunk the size down quite a bit. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how this gets folded into the proper shape, and then we're going to go ahead and decorate some of these. I'm fairly certain that I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I had this cut on my Cricut. And one thing I want to mention, if you find this design on the Cricut and you choose to do this, shrink the skirt down just a little bit smaller than the template that it comes in, because it's a little bit big for the shirt. But I made like 30 of them without altering the size of the skirt compared to the shirt. But you'll notice it's a little bit of a squeeze. But let's get started. So this is what you get. And as you can see, I used all different kinds of papers to create these dresses, okay? And so that's the great thing. That's upside down. That's the great thing, is that you can sort of design these for whatever look it is that you want. So as you can see for this one, I have a plaid shirt. This will be a plaid shirt. And then you can see this is a pearlescent colored scrapbook paper in a cream color. All right, so the first thing I do, I just, whatever order is, however you want to do it, in whatever order you want is fine. But I am typically starting by folding the shirt. Now you'll notice, if you can see it, that the shirt where it scores it, you need to, with your hand, move it over a little bit. So each one I've taken and just pushed it over a bit and then put a fresh crease in it right here. And then I'm going ahead and I'm doing a little bit of a pre-fold right here and right here. So that part's done for me. And now I'm going to set that aside just like that, and we'll get back to that in just a minute. Now here's the skirt, and it's been embossed. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me hold it like this. So that, there we go. I think you can see the lines if I hold it like that. So all we're going to have to do is fold the lines. And it was very easy for me to look at the picture that they have on the Cricut design and use that to know how to fold this, because there's a certain, you can see the pleats in it. So you have to fold it a certain way to get the pleats. So what I noticed is that both of the ends are on the top. So for me, that was a good thing to remember. So I've got this end, and you can see how I folded it. It'll be on the top. If it was going in the other direction, it would go in the other. Like if I folded it in this direction, it would not be correct. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. So now we're just going to fold this. And it's pretty easy to do since it's already been scored by the machine. This is pretty thick paper, but I'll let you guys know I did use cardstock. Like this is a cardstock weight right here, but I also used regular scrapbook paper that's much thinner. And it works fine both ways. I'll show them to you later. I'll show you the scrapbook paper ones later. Okay, so you can see, like, I got my order a little bit messed up here because the pleats don't look like that. So if you have an example to look at, it's fairly easy to figure it out. So I know that this one I need to go in the opposite direction than I did. And then I'm going to fold this way, I think. Hold on, sorry. Did 30 of these off camera and it was perfectly fine, because that's how it goes. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now, some of you have bone folders, And you can take and push this crease down. I don't happen to have one, but I can use my spatula. And if you don't have a spatula, you can use other things. Earlier today, because I was putting these together in my living room, I was actually using my clothespin to just go down each side of it. And if you don't have a clothespin, you can grab the handle of your scissors and you can use those. Okay? And there we have, that part is done. Now, we're back to the shirt now. So this is going to be the part that I want us to see, not this part. This is upside down, and you'll notice that because of these right here. So this is going to be the front. So I'm laying it upside down because I'm going to end up popping this in here and gluing it together. But before I do that, I need to get my glue on here. Now, the one that I showed you that I put on the brown bag, I used my hot glue gun. But this one, I'm going to use my Aleene's Tacky Glue. But it works both ways. Now, this little part here, I'm not sure what the purpose of it is, but it gets glued up out of the way. Then I'm going to take some glue and put it on there. And then I'm going to put this skirt part on there. Now you can see it's too wide, so I'll have to squeeze it together, but before I do, I'm going to put a little glue on it. Okay? Now I'm going to see if I can squeeze this together. And I'm going to close the shirt. And see this little flap? I'm going to close that. Now I'm going to grab a couple of my clothespins. And just to hold this in place while it dries. There we go. We're going to set that aside, but that's basically how you do it. The only thing I didn't do is I didn't fold down the collar yet. So there we go, I just folded down the collar. Okay, so we're going to set this one aside so that it can dry. I keep a lot of my scrap trim in these jars, and it makes it easy. I can just look inside and see if there's something that I want to use. So I have them sorted by color, and I think what we'll do is we'll start with this neutral one. So we have a white shirt right here, and then this brown and white skirt. So I think if I go with a peachy color, I think that would look nice. I will pull out a couple of different options from my jar here. I was thinking of going with this light peachy pink color. It's kind of a coral color, and it does look nice. But then I was looking at this, and though a mustard yellow is not my favorite, I did think it looked good with it. So let's see. It's just two different feels. Like the mustard definitely leans into the fall colors more, whereas this one not as much. I've decided we'll use both. I'm going to use the coral color on this one, and then I grab this one that I'll use this trim on. First thing I'm going to do is put the waistband on here. Now I'm going to go along the bottom with this trim. one thing I did not do was I did not put the trim on before I folded the paper into the proper placement. And I suppose I could have, because it would have been easier in some ways to put the trim on while the paper was flat. But then I didn't want to have a problem bending the paper because of the trim. So, you know, I made my choice, but I think it's definitely worth experimenting with and putting the trim on, you know, just trying it out. Oops, see, that didn't stick. I'll open this up like this. So anyway, as I was saying, I do think it's worth experimenting with it to see if putting the trim on would cause any sort of problem when it came to bending the paper into shape. I mean, I guess technically it shouldn't. You know, especially if your trim is not too like thick or heavy. You know, if it was thick or heavy, that could be, you know, weird. But I'm just using light trims. All right, now we are going to cut the end of this trim. Oops, let me do this side too. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the collar down. And I can leave it like that so it sticks up a little bit, or I can tack it down with the glue. And I think I'll go ahead and tack it down. I have my container that has flat backs in it. You'll notice on this one that on the dress I used, this is actually what I would call the, oh, well, here's the orange flat back. Maybe that's orange too. And then these are, I must have used white here and there. So that's what I used, and then on the belt I used black. So, and these papers come from the same paper pack, except for the pearl doesn't. But anyway, the point is that they're sort of neutral. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what's gonna look best with this color trim? Because the other trim I used was a little bit of different shade. So let's check the orange one. See, that one looks, actually, let me make sure you guys can see. This one looks pretty yellow. Oops. And if we put it on here, the one thing I do like is that it does pop off the page a little bit, so I think that's nice. But I do think we need to try some other colors out, because that wouldn't be my favorite. Let me try the pink just to see how it looks with this trim color. I didn't even think about the trim color, oops, that flew across the room. The trim color sort of coordinating with my flat backs. So here, let me put this here. Yeah, so this is definitely pink. Ooh, but it kind of looks nice. It does not clash at all, which is super nice. If I put one up here at the top, let me see. I could use a white one up at the top. Or I could use that one. That does not look bad. Let me scooch the pink over and put the white one. Well, the white one does look good on the pearlescent paper, so maybe that's what I'll do there. All right, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up using white right here at the neckline, and then I'll go ahead and use pink throughout. So I'm gonna grab my gem tack, and I'm going to go ahead and remove these items. Oops, geez, I keep flinging them across the room. And I'm just going to put a little dot wherever it is that I want those flat backs to go. And we will start with down here before I put it on the other part of the dress, but we will definitely get to that. So we're doing a pearl one right up here at the neckline. And we're gonna do a pink one here on the trim. And that's what I'll do down here as well. Now I'd like to add some to the dress part, and so I think what I'll do is just put a little dab of glue in some of the flowers. And I think what we'll do is just go with the plain white. My friends, I'm gonna turn this paper over here and put this on this brown background just so that you can see it, because it blends in with the desk a little bit. But how cute did that turn out? Let me see. Yeah, I think you can see all the pearls on there. Aren't they cute? I love it. So I'm gonna do some more of them. And friends, now this one is done, and I think it looks super cute. Hopefully you can see the gems. I gotta be careful. I should say the flatbacks. I gotta be careful because they're not dry, but yeah, I can, as I'm moving it, I can see them shine. Now, you can still see a little glue around some of them because it's still drying, but nevertheless, I think we have a pretty good idea of how this will look once it's dry. Friends, I have finished the dresses, and so I wanted to show them to you. I've done quite a few, so bear with me while I grab them and show them to you. Do you see the flatbacks that I put on? And I put a belt on each one that coordinates, and then they've got like a little flatback there as well. I'm absolutely in love with these dresses. They were so much fun to make. You know, a little tedious with the flatbacks and everything, but so completely enjoyable. And you remember from the beginning of the video that these are much smaller than the one I made for the gift bag. Look at the difference. That's a huge difference. But that was the fun thing about cutting these out on the Cricut, is that I was able to adjust the size. This one I think I might use in my Gothic Girl book somehow, maybe, if I can. Don't know if I'll be able to, but I might try. But by the time you see this video, my Gothic Girl collab will be over, and that'll be old news, I suppose. Okay, so now I have a tray of them. So here they come. I'm holding the tray in one hand, and I'm showing you with the other, so I'll have to show you just one at a time. But I hope you love them. I do. A lot of these, I grabbed some scrapbook paper that I felt that I wouldn't use. Now, like this scrapbook paper was fine, I would use that. But the upper one is a paper that I wouldn't necessarily use, like this lower part here. I wouldn't necessarily use that. I don't even know why I had it, quite honestly. But turning it into a skirt, this is the same as the other one I just showed you, turning it into a skirt, you know, it just gives it new life. And that was just so fun. This I used some ruffled seam binding that, that was sent to me in Happy Mail. And thank you, my friend that sent that to me. Now you think, why wouldn't you use this paper? Well, this paper here is very neutral, and I just don't use neutrals a lot, but they're fantastic dresses. So, just so happy about how each of these turned out, and they have their own character, and some are similar. There are a few that are basically the same, but most of them are at least a little bit different. Okay, I think that's it, my friends. So, oh no, there's one more. And this one I literally just finished. The glue is probably still drying. And to be honest with you, there's one more similar to this. I've lost it. I don't know where it is, but when I find it, I'll go ahead and, you know, jazz it up a little bit. But I have a wonderful stash here to use for cards, or in journals, or on gift bags like I did my original one. So many things that I can use these little cuties for. So friends, I hope that you enjoyed seeing them. Thanks for watching. See you soon.